Thank you so much, everyone, for being here today, joining us this morning. And we're welcoming Gail Williamson today. Gail Williamson has worked as a talent agent at KMR in North Hollywood for the past 9 years. She used to be our DSALA's executive director for many years, and she was the one who recruited me. And she made a lot of wonderful additions to DSALA when she was in charge of the Heart and Halo program. So even back then, she was working to have our exposure to Down syndrome in media. So she worked a lot trying to get a lot of our loved ones with Down syndrome in movies, in shows, and media. Just kind of what she's doing now, but she's probably getting paid better today. So anyway, so here's Gail. Thank you so much, Gail, for being here this morning. And I'm gonna try to mute everybody else while she talks.
And Sandra, before you mute yourself, I have to watch for you to do something for me to share the screen, or I can just click on share the screen.
Yeah, you can share and make sure you share the sound as well.
Okay, and it's a PowerPoint, so you guys might see behind the curtain for a minute because I'm not sure I have it all set up to go. Share. There we go. Does everybody see that?
Yes.
Yes. And so I'm so pleased to be with you today. This has been a passion of mine for so many years. My son Blair is, yesterday was 43. And when Blair was born in 1979, I could walk into a restaurant with him on my hip and silence the restaurant because people weren't used to seeing children with Down syndrome out in public. It wasn't like it is today. They weren't on TV. They weren't seen places. I was at Universal Studios with a backpack on. Pardon? I was at Universal Studios with a backpack on my back with Blair in it. And a woman came up to me and said, I have one of those at home. And I said, a backpack? And she said, no, a child like that. But I'm from South Africa. And we don't take our children out in public. So it was a different world. And we weren't seeing images of people with disabilities. In 1989, so 10 years later, the show Life Goes On came on the air with Chris Burt, who had Down syndrome. And I told Blair, you're going to grow up and be like Chris. And he's going, oh, no, my Down syndrome is going to go away. He thought his dad had Down syndrome and it went away, and his brother had Down syndrome and it went away. He apparently thought every male started out with Down syndrome and they outgrew it. And I realized I wasn't giving him role models of individuals with Down syndrome who were adults. He'd had no idea that he had a future with Down syndrome. So when Life Goes On came on the air, he started watching it. And after a couple episodes, he decided that was pretty cool and he could see a future life for himself. But after about 2 seasons, we saw that he was starting to be recognized as a person when we were out in public. We'd be at a restaurant, and instead of them asking us what he would like to eat, he was being asked what he would like to eat. And this changed our world. It flipped our world upside down. Expectant mothers talk about being told that their child would grow up to be like Corky from their doctors when they were getting an early diagnosis. It just really flipped the world for us. And I got very dedicated to making a difference and seeing what I could do. And about the same time, through Special Olympics, Blair got a commercial. And nothing that I did. He was running 400 meters and in Special Olympics, and they wanted a runner who could run a lot because that's what it takes to film a commercial. And so Blair got a shot at it, and I could see what he could do. This is his little commercial, the first. So that's our little experience with a commercial. You'll notice if you watch that slowly that you'll see different, when he's running in different areas. Each of those areas took several times the filming. Basically, he walked to the top of the hill, wrapped up in a jacket with the woman who was running with him because it was cold. They yelled cameras, they'd get out of the jacket, they'd spray his chest with water to make it look like he was sweating, and they'd run down the hill. This went on for 4 hours. He did it for 4 hours. And I saw, this kid likes this. We should see if we could do something again. So that was my sort of breaking into the industry, or Blair's breaking into the industry and introducing me to this this world. I couldn't find him an agent. Everyone said there's nobody wants someone with Down syndrome. You know, we don't see calls for that. We don't see that happening. The people at Life Goes On were really sweet. Blair's known as the kid that looked nothing like Chris Burke little, because they're always were looking for someone little to do flashbacks. And Blair, of course, looked nothing like Chris, so that was not in his future. But that commercial did debut on Life Goes On the first time it played, which was fun. But that opened up the world to me. I eventually found an agent for him, got another commercial a little later, and I started seeing how this was coming together, and he started taking acting classes, and I started to see just the difference that it made in him and what he was. Oops, sorry, we don't want that to go again. Let's see if I can get to the next slide. There we go. So I have to do a little more.
Are you also sharing sound, or they don't have any sound?
You didn't have sound on the commercial?
No.
Oh, I don't know.
So when you share your screen, there's a little button on the side that says share sound. So if you stop sharing and then share again.
Okay, so let me go to you're sharing, stop share. Okay, go back to share screen.
And then you see on the left-hand side of the corner at the bottom, share sound.
Share sound.
Yeah.
Well, let's watch that one more time. You ready? We'll give it a try.
He's trying to go further than he's ever gone before. Now there's a special opportunity for you to help him. To support the athletes of the 1991 Special Olympics Games, look inside your publisher's clearinghouse mail. For every one of these valuable coupons you redeem by January 20th, Procter & Gamble will contribute 10 cents to Special Olympics. It's a special savings for you. And it's a chance to help some special athletes go as far as they can.
Better? Thank you, Sandra, very much. But so we seem to train children with disabilities to be actors. We start at the very beginning. Once we're aware they have a disability and we see something different about them, we start putting them in therapy, putting them in classes, training them to listen to someone who's directing them and to go with them and be with them. They independent of mom or dad, and they kind of have a sense of knowing mom and dad will come back because they've experienced this before. So we find that kids that are exposed to this at a young age tend to be really good actors if they find comfort in that kind of performing. You know, like I can remember my son putting pegs in a pegboard, and he was doing it for a group of people watching, and he very much knew he was entertaining. And it's something in their genes. I'm sure all of you could tell me. We often say that children and adults with Down syndrome have the entertainment gene on that extra chromosome. They just tend to be good entertainers. So we feel like they have a kind of a leg up. If they don't like therapy, if they don't like going and doing repetitive things, if they don't like being told what to do, they're not gonna thrive in this area. But usually our little ones with Down syndrome really thrive in this area. If any of you watch This Is Us, this is not Down syndrome, but it's a child with a disability who's had lots of therapy. If you watch This Is Us, and they had the various ages of Jack Jr., who is a character who's blind. We put several blind actors there as Jack at different ages. But toddler Jack was played by Johnny Kincaid, who was so in the moment and so able to play his role at 3 years old, because he's already taking mobility training with a white cane, and he's learning, and he knows that mom's always going to be there after he works with someone. And it just makes for a wonderful actor. And why is acting training good for children with disabilities? You know, when we put kids in Little League, we put them there not necessarily to become a star ball player, but to learn valuable skills and valuable lessons that they take into their life, into their future employment, into their scholastics. They take this information and grow with it. I think that acting is very much the same way for our guys. A lot of our guys are acting all the time anyway. We're telling them how to act from the time they're born. I talk to people on the autism spectrum who also often tell me, oh, I love acting because that's what I do every day anyway. If I just acted on my impulses, people wouldn't want to be around me, but I'm acting. I have a script in my head when I go into the coffee to get coffee. I know to say to the barista, how is your day? And I know what my answers are. So you'll find that a lot of people with disabilities really enjoy acting. But the kids, I find, learn to stay present in the moment. They learn to read body language in a way that you can't teach other than through the dramatic arts. Listening skills, they have to be able to respond appropriately, so they have to listen. They're like any team sport, they're participating in a group. And the other thing I've found is as they get older and get more included into typical groups, thespians tend to be some of the most inclusive people around. Kids who enjoy the dramatic arts are very inclusive. They need everyone at different levels in different jobs and directions. You know, there are people who are really techie, nerdy techie people are needed badly by the thespians. And so there's kind of this integration of community already in the dramatic arts. And so it's a nice place to break into for children with disabilities. So there's some questions you need to ask yourself before you really commit to doing what you need to do to get your child into the entertainment industry. You need to ask yourself where you live. Do you live where this is happening? You know, it shapes how you're going to go about this. If you live in LA or New York, maybe Atlanta or Austin, you're going to be able to find work for your child most probably. And you're going to be able to find some support. If you live in Nebraska, it might be a little tougher. What we hope to talk to about here today is some of the things you can do in some of the other places. But that's an important aspect, is to really understand where you live and how this business works. What tells you your child wants to be an actor? Do you see them comfortable in new places with new people? Does your child want to follow directions? Can they follow directions? Are they going to not want to follow directions? Does your child love the camera? Most of them do love the camera. The biggest part is teaching them to forget about the camera. That's one of the hardest parts with our kids. So that's why sometimes it's really nice when they've had therapies where they've tried to, where they've decided to document their growth in the therapy, because then the child learns to forget about the camera. So those are some of the things you look for with your child. Do they like to play pretend with you? One of the wonderful things is to do improvs with your kids and let your child come home and say, you know, such and such happened at school. And you said, okay, you be the teacher and I'll be so-and-so. You've heard that Johnny kicked Billy. So I'm sorry I kicked Billy. And then let the teacher respond. You're going to learn a lot of stuff from your kid by letting the kid play the teacher and you play someone else. You also can work with your child on make a happy face, make a sad face, make a confused face. Start with easy faces and then come with broader and broader. When Blair was little, he had asthma. And one of the things that can contribute to asthma is not being able to express yourself. So the allergist actually had us do that with Blair. Show me happy, show me sad. And eventually we're doing show me confused, show me. And so he learned to do all these, show these emotions on his face to help his asthma, which I think prepared him even more to be an actor along the way. So that's something you can play with your child as well. People often say to me, doesn't matter, we can travel. I got miles, I'll get on a plane, we can be there in a day. So I wanted to explain how a commercial works or a TV show works. A recent breakdown in Los Angeles. So for a commercial, they were doing taped auditions. So you had to send in a tape between June 3rd and June 6th. Then they were going to look at all those tapes and decide who they wanted to see in person. So there were in-person callbacks in LA on June 9th and 10th. Then if they decided they wanted to use the person, they'd go for a fitting the 15th or the 16th. And then for the shoot, it would be one day, the 21st through the 24th, or the 28th to 29th. And before each, the fitting and the film day, there'd be a 2-day ahead COVID test that had to be performed. So we're looking at almost a month to do one commercial. So it's hard to say, I'll hop on a plane and get out there for that commercial, because it takes so much time. So that's why we like to talk about what you can do in your own community and how you can be plugged in and see about getting work through the connections that you have in your community. So if you are in another state or another place besides where we've talked about, what do you want to look for? There is talent agencies and there's talent management companies. A talent agency is usually licensed as an employment office. You know how you go to do temp work and you go to an employment office that will get you temp work in certain places. That's the license actually that we have here. And that's kind of how it works with acting. Talent management, and talent agencies may take 10% of earnings as their commission. Talent management does not have as many rules and regulations. They are not licensed usually, and they can take larger amounts of commissions. So you need to make real sure what you're getting into if you're with a talent management as opposed to a talent agency. But both exist. In California, usually people will get a talent manager to help them get established in an agency, and then they may walk away from management until they have a career worth managing. We have some clients that don't have managers that really need them, some clients that have managers and really don't utilize them. So you just need to figure that out along the way. In KMR, like I said, we get called the breakdowns. We get the list of all the jobs that are out there in a day that they're looking for in LA and New York. And we now do Southeast, so mostly Atlanta and like Texas and the Austin area, pretty much. That's where I read breakdowns from. So if you have a child who's, like I said, in Nebraska or Utah, and you want them to get opportunities to be an actor, I'm not going to be much help. But I can help you get ready so that you're a solid candidate to go to a local agency and ask for representation. Because I guarantee you, if you find a youth, if we're talking children, if you find a youth department that covers commercials in any state, they're going to have read breakdowns for kids with disabilities. It literally says differently abled children and adults, usually on the breakdown. So they are seeing it. So you're not going to be a surprise to them when you ask for them to just hang on to you until that right job comes along, you know? Online searches in other states. I got online, as I said, and looked at what was available in some other states. And so I know there's stuff out there that you can take advantage of. But what do you want to do so that you're ready? What about headshots? Here we have a home shot and a professional headshot. This is little Zachary Gallegos, who gave us permission to use his pictures today. At about age 8 or 10, I really like the talent to have a professional photo. And professional photos can run, a professional photo shoot can run between $250 and $650, depending on what you're going, what you're going to do, how many shots you're going to take, what you want. I think when you get to be about 10, you're really competing, and you need to have a good shot so that they understand you're going to come in and be a professional actor. But Zachary got his job on the Mayans as Santiago. He recurs on the Mayans, and he got it with this shot, not with the professional shot. So it's not going to prevent you from getting in, but by the time the Mayans are announcing him, we want him to have a professional shot, so that's what hits the press. When you have a newborn, or I say every 6 months we want a picture, from newborn to 2 years old, it can be a snapshot, but a good one. See how Zachary's looking into the camera, smiling, got a nice distance around his head. It's framed well. That's what we're looking for, especially with the babies. I don't want a runny nose or a drooling mouth if that's possible. Just have a tissue nearby and make sure you're cleaning that up along the way. Then from 2 to 10 every year, 10 to 20, maybe every 2 years, and over 20 every 2 to 4 years, maybe. I think I've let Blair go 5 years before, but he's bald with a beard, so it doesn't change much. So anyway, that's a good rule of thumb. And if you go to a agent in your home state and say, this is what we'd like to do, and you have a good picture, that says a lot. It says a lot about you and how serious you are. Just so I know this is pretty much Down syndrome that we're talking today, but I wanted to let you know, in case there's anyone in here with other disabilities, we also like to have not only the headshots, we also like to have a full body shot. If this Barbie or G.I. Joe comes with accessories, I want to show off the accessories. So I want to sell an image of a difference. And so little Anna Lynn in her wheelchair, or her go-go as she refers to it. Here we've got Carl with his white cane. He's mobility trained. And he was another one of the Jack Juniors on This Is Us. So these are important things to get while you're there getting the headshots. Work permits. A child doesn't just get to go to work. There are labor laws that are very important. And a part of this, a child needs to have a work permit to work, and the work permit has to be kept up. It can't, it can expire, but you sure race around to try to get it if it does. So in California, there's a labor office where you can get it, and you can apply before it expires. So you always have a current one. In New York, also, we have permits that you need to get in order to participate. You can get a 15-day permit to start, and then a 12-month after that. These permits are free. They do not cost you anything but your time. Other states, there's actually a website that tells you if they have work permits or not in those states. Also, if you're working, like if you're doing a film in New Mexico and you're a California kid and your contract was written in California, you would take a California work permit with you to New Mexico for that. So that you'll learn that along the way, but work permits are important. And if you have a work permit for the state you're looking for representation in, to be able to say, here's our headshot, here's our work permit, that's going to add to making you more desirable to the agency, because they're going to see they have less work to do to get you in set up. Create a resume. Now I know, what does my kid have to put on a resume? We'll start small. Maybe they did a school performance at their elementary school. I've formatted it here as we would usually put, like, this could say Scandal, Bill Smith, that Sony Studios is where it's shot. I can't remember if it's CBS or ABC or whatever. ABC director so-and-so, I don't know. But anyway, so we just kind of went with that and put in, It's a Holly Jolly Christmas, the musical. My son was an elf. It was at Lassen Elementary School. Fall Colors, a play. He was Farmer Bill at the First Christian Church. those things, any kind of performance. Maybe they've done a dance recital, that would be fine too. Training, beginning ballet at Dance Plus Studio with Mr. Loomis, improv at Actor Space with Miss Heather. You know, just something on the resume so that you can say, and here's my child's resume. If they've done a brochure for their Down syndrome group, you know, maybe your Down Syndrome Association has your child, a picture of your child on one of their brochures or on their website. They are now a model for the Down Syndrome Association of Tippecanoe, and there they are, you know, on this. So you can come up with some things, you're just showing them that your child understands that they're doing something and participating in something and what's involved. You don't have to have the best credits in the world on that resume. Here in LA, we use casting websites to work with our clients. And that's how we submit them. Every day, Breakdown Services and casting networks put out all the jobs that are available, all the TV shows, all the theaters, all for live theater, all the commercials, all those things appear. And we go into these websites where you have got to have built a profile for your child. You go into these websites and click on the role, and the role may say woman with Down syndrome, age 18 to 35, of all ethnicities. So I'll go in and I'll click off women with Down syndrome. I'll click off Down syndrome. I'll click off woman. I'll click off on 18 to, they're asking 35. My women with Down syndrome look a little younger. I'll go to 43. And I'll bring up all those women. And now I have a chance to click off the ones I want to submit. I can customize what I'm telling casting about them. I can pick, if they give me a choice of a lot of pictures, I can pick which picture looks best. If they have tape of past work, I can pick, like if they're going to go do a medical show and I've got something where they've done one before, it's like, oh, she was on The Good Doctor and now we're auditioning for New Amsterdam. We'll show this medical one before she did it, put that on. So all this goes to the casting directors, and then they look at that and decide who they're going to see for the role, who they're going to ask to make tape. So the same way that then when they ask for them, we put out emails from the casting sites that say to you, you have an audition. And that's when you go to work, mom and dad. You've got to respond to that very timely. Usually within a couple of hours, you should get back to us and say, yes, we will make a tape, or no, we will not make a tape. Because if you don't get back to us in a couple of hours, we're going to be texting you, because by the evening, casting is going to be asking us if they can expect tape from you. We don't like to be interrupted at night. We don't have to be. And then you're going to have the responsibility of making the tape, doing a little self-editing probably, and getting it into us. So it's not just you hand us a picture and we get you a job. There's a lot of work that goes into it. And you may do several auditions like this before the job actually comes. And it used to be when I would do these presentations, I'd say, you know, just treat this like a medical emergency. You may get 3 times a year to audition, so be ready. Now I have to say, you could get 3 times a month to audition. You can maybe get 3 in a week sometime. And so you've got to be ready to do that. And it takes time away from your other family members. It takes time away from activities that your child might be doing after school. It's work at this point. It really is. Now the payoff's lovely. Payoff's lovely because most of you who get involved in this do it not only because your child is finding they enjoy it and they are achieving something, and you're filling that hole in their soul that's waiting for this, you know, like they're just dying to do it. But also, I lost my trend there. But you're also doing it to be an advocate. You know the importance of having a face like your child's on TV, on film, in commercials. So there's lots of reasons that we do this. We have to make sure that it's not taking away from our other members of our family, our other things that our children need to do. If your child really loves soccer and plays soccer 3 times a week, you might not want to do this because this could, you know, make you have to leave soccer early to go make a tape. And that's not going to make a coach happy. Just because people will ask, it's not something you need until you're actually working. But there is legislation that a child has 15% of their earnings put into a Coogan or blocked account. This is so that that money is there for the child when they turn 18. It's called the Coogan account because Jackie Coogan, a child actor from many, many years ago, when he became an adult, there was no money for him. His parents had spent it all. And so they made a rule that the 15% had to be put in the Coogan account, but they didn't make a rule that the parents had a fiduciary responsibility to pay the taxes for the child. And so when Gary Coleman turned 18, there was money in his account, but because his parents had never paid taxes, all of it went to taxes. So then we went back to Sacramento and said, now we need a law that says the parents have a fiduciary responsibility to pay taxes and take care of this money for their child. So children are set up pretty good today. So 15% goes into their minor trust. And this account can be opened when they have their first job. I'm just sharing it so you've heard about it. And once they get it, that's another thing to say to a potential agent representation. We have our work permit. We've set up on casting networks. We have a good headshot. Here's the resume, and we have a Coogan account, or we're ready to set up our Coogan account so that that can happen for you. If your child gets SSI or SSDI, this is a whole other game to play. First of all, you're going to have to keep records and turn in check stubs when your child has the earnings. So if anything needs to be deducted from a payment, it can be deducted. But you also need to be ready to receive this Coogan money when they turn 18. That's where an ABLE account might come in and be handy for you. So you could put that money straight into an ABLE so that, you know, and now I think it's $15,000 a year. Probably be more by the time your child gets there. But always keep good records. Always keep your check stubs. When you work, you also get something called a call sheet. I tell people keep the call sheet and keep the check stubs in an envelope together or in a file folder together, because you can go back and check on anything you have to share with the SSA, with the Social Security Administration, if they come asking questions. And it's all individual pretty much on whether your child receives SSI or SSDI. It changes on what the rules are, but you want to make sure you're aware of them. We had a client who was a wheelchair user who got a job and ended up in jeopardy of losing her home where she rented because she was under a program for people with disabilities with lower income. And suddenly she had higher income and they thought she could make $10,000 a day. Well, that's not what she was going to make every day. That was just a one-time thing. So you've got to be very careful with that. What are auditions like nowadays? I kind of went into that earlier, but most of them are taped auditions. The info will come via email, often in the afternoon, and you'll have to confirm or decline as soon as possible. Casting office really needs to know if they can expect tape from you or not. If they are not going to be sending it, they might have another person they'd want to offer an audition to. So that's why it's so important to them to hear whether you're going to make tape or not. Now, it could be, we think we're going to make tape, but we're not sure. You can put a note in that says, we're leaning towards it. We won't know until tomorrow. That would be fine. Tape's usually due in about 24 hours. If you get lucky, it's due in a couple of days. Usually we can get a couple of days if it's scripted TV or something. But for commercials, that's a really quick turnaround. And then you only hear back from the agent if you're moving forward. They collect all the tapes. They don't have time to say anything to the people that they're not moving forward. We may send, let's say, 10 children on a commercial. We'll get a call back for 3 of them. the other 7 will never hear from us about this. They may ask later on and we'll tell them, no, they didn't get a call back. Then after the callbacks, unless we get an avail, someone will call and ask if they're available and if they'll hold the dates. Then we start a conversation with the client saying, and then we would get back to them and let them know if they were booked or if they were released from the avail. It's a whole new language. I think I'm going to make a syllabus to go with this next time. So what's next? You have to decide if this is something you really want to do for your child. Make sure the whole family's behind it, because it'll take a village to make it happen. You're all going to have to make it happen. Reach out to the agencies you're interested in working with. We're not the only agency in LA doing this. There's some others. So you can see, who best fits your life. Have the best materials so you can show them how serious you are. Get that work permit. Have that resume. Have the headshot. Get all ready for it. Do your prep work. Get a work permit. I put it in there twice. Wanted it to be so important. And that's us. And that's Blair and me. And can we open it up for questions, Sandra? It's kind of weird to not have a give and take.
Yeah, anybody can.
And I can't look out and see. I can't look out and see faces that are very confused. So there might be something you need to have me quantify for you.
Mm-hmm. If anybody has a question, you can raise your hand or just unmute yourself. Thank you. And there's the chat as well. I think Nolan did you have a question, Nolan?
Actually, I just want to introduce myself, actually.
Great.
Hi, Nolan.
Hi, Gail. I'm Nolan.
Where do you live, Nolan?
I'm from the Boston area.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
It's hot out there.
it is.
Well, it's very nice to meet you.
Very nice to meet you. I have a couple of friends that speak highly of you.
Oh, good. I like those kind of friends.
Yeah. I think you know the guy. Adrian Esposito.
Oh, yes. He's a good filmmaker.
Yeah. I was in one of his films.
You're in the clown film?
Yeah.
Excellent. I know everybody.
And I want to mention locally, we have acting classes with Mary Rings, who's been teaching our kids for over 30 years, I believe. Like
Blair's been with her for 30 years.
Yeah, like 30 something years. And she has classes via Zoom on Wednesdays, Thursdays in person in North Hollywood, and Saturday mornings as well.
And then Sunday she does some Zoom also.
So anybody interested, you can go to our website and get her contact information and figure out how to get into those classes as well.
What ages of kids typically go to that class? Is it, I think it's more geared teens and up, or is it any, or does more now?
5 and up, supposedly 5 and up, but as Gail mentioned, you really, it has to do with the child's behavior. So I guess how mature your child is at 5,
Yeah.
Because sometimes the younger ones do have a little bit more behavior issues that we're still working through.
Hey, Gail.
Hey, who's that?
Hey, this is Breezy. I'm very excited to do this. I take acting classes. I'm in college now.
Are you really? You've grown a lot since I've seen you. And where do you live, Breezy?
We live in Douglasville,
Which is Atlanta.
Atlanta.
Well, you could certainly talk. I'm going to be there next year. I'm moving to Atlanta next year.
Yay.
Oh, that's cool.
I'm going to retire, but I'll still be a consultant here at the office. But we have opened an office in Atlanta now. So I could see about, I had your stuff in the past with me, so you can reach out to me and we'll see about getting you set up in the Atlanta.
That'd be
We are
great.
not letting Gail retire.
Thank you,
But
David.
that's good.
Yeah, that's cool, Breezy.
Yeah, so what's gonna happen with, is somebody gonna take your position to help continue helping our
Yes,
families?
Yes. We've got several lovely people here. My current assistant, Skylar, is just amazing. And she has a brother with Down syndrome. She's from Colorado, so she
Aw.
gets it. And Eric, one of our other assistants, has a brother on the spectrum, so he gets it. And both of them went to film school and graduated from Loyola Marymount. So
Mhm.
we've got some good people coming up. And Katie McGrath, who's covering TV, film, and theater for us right now, is amazing. She had a 10-year career in New York as an agent, and then stepped away during COVID and wasn't sure if she
Yeah.
wanted to come back until she found our department. And then she found the motivation to come back and be an agent again, because she saw the social justice end of what we do and how wonderful it is to make a difference. I mean, we teach and we advocate every day. We're negotiating accommodations for people who are blind and deaf and wheelchair users. And so we're across the board, but we're running low on kids, on littles. I need,
Mhm.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-year-olds, because there are so many Walmart and Target and JCPenney's and then once you do one of those shows, if you do Target, you don't do Walmart because you're exclusive with them, or if you do Walmart, you don't do Target. So, and then some jobs are non-union and some are union. So my kids do enough work, they end up in the union, and then I have non-union kids for the non-union jobs. So we really are in need of little ones.
Mhm.
By the time you get to be an adult, you need to have some credits, you need to have some training, but the
Yeah.
littles can just start.
So that was one of the questions they have in the chat, is at what age do they start?
There've been breakdowns for 1-year-olds recently. Most youth agencies won't take anything but twins until they're about 2, just because of the time they're allowed to be on camera.
Mhm.
But our littles here, because if they're looking for someone with Down syndrome specifically, they'll maybe hire 2 kids with Down syndrome, and when they need them, see which one ends up on the screen.
Yeah.
I also seen you've gotten babies for different shows like newborns sometimes.
I do
right?
call for that sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah. The
So
craziest one was John Wells called and said, for Shameless, said, I need a newborn baby for a birth scene who has Down syndrome, who's Asian. I went, how do I make that happen? And we found a little girl who played the little boy. And the parents didn't really want to keep going. And we negotiated like this crazy, the car came and picked them up. I mean, because the parents just didn't want to do it. Mom was a pediatrician, she didn't have time. And so dad was taking him and the other child. And it was so funny. And we kept, every time we meet, when can they get out of this? They don't want to keep doing this.
I know, and they're such a lovely family.
Yeah.
I know recently we were desperately looking for a young boy with Down syndrome and African American. And I felt like we searched high and low, and it was because when it's very specific, I think it just gets tougher to find those individuals, who are interested in going through all that.
Yeah, it's a lot of work, you have to really feel your child is benefiting from this to do it. It's not just we're going to give it a try kind of thing. It used to be, but it's not now. It's gotten higher stakes than it used to be.
Also, I think does the Hayden family have a question?
Yeah, thanks. I do. Hi, I'm Anna.
Hi, Anna.
How are you? And that was Kate who made an appearance a minute ago. She's 13. we live in the DC area. So what would you recommend?
Well, first I'd tell you, go to, well, I can't think of the theater. We have a bunch of people from Deaf West doing Music Man out there. So go look that up.
Okay.
Oh, it starts with an O. There's a theater that starts with an O. Can't think of it off the top of my head. But we have like 7 clients who are deaf, who are in Music Man. So I just recently saw a Deaf West performance here, opera, and it was amazing. They had double cast, one using ASL and one singing, and it was just phenomenal. Wow. Anyway, that's just a life experience. Beyond that, I would say do look up talent agencies in DC and I don't know, Maryland and wherever, whatever's close to you, and see what you can find. And anybody's welcome to send me a list of what they find and ask if I have any recommendations. I probably won't, but I have a whole office full of people I can ask and see if anybody knows anyone. But also, you might have, because they do shoot a lot of things out your way, you might have a background casting company that hires children. You might look for that because that's a nice place to get some experience on a set. But what you want to do is try to do something that will start you to network. That's a place where you can network. You'll meet other parents who have children that are working, and you can find out who their agents are and who their acting classes are. Because networking is the fastest way to move through this industry. The Kennedy Center for the Arts has opportunities for our kids sometimes. They've been very good at that. You should see if they have any programs for children with disabilities. Out there. I can't think of the gal's name anymore. She's probably gone, but used to run those programs.
Well, that's exciting because I know that I've seen so many things. She's been used to me filming her entire life because I use different clips to show other parents, to inspire people. She's an amazing athlete. She's a great cyclist. And I've often thought she should be in an ad for Trek or Under Armour or Nike or somebody. She is so strong on the bike.
And those are out there. And when you create one of these casting profiles, acting profiles for her on like Casting Networks or Breakdown Express, it'll ask for all those skills. There'll be places to check them off. And if you check off all those skills, what'll happen is they can search them. Like I'll go in and search, who plays basketball, who's in a wheelchair and plays basketball. I'll get my wheelchair basketball players to pop up to put together a team. So make sure you fill out all the parents need to fill out all the things that it asks and the sizes. My gosh, fill out the sizes and keep them up. I can't tell you how many times I get children who wear a size 3 shoe. I don't know when mom put in that child wears that size 3 shoe. It could have been 2 years ago, So then I'll end up, if I don't have time to call and find out, I just pass on an opportunity. If it was disability specific, I wouldn't pass on that opportunity. But I look at any child role, especially in commercials, and send children with disabilities. And I'll literally submit under 8 to 10-year-olds, boys and girls, and I'll put in a kid in a wheelchair, a kid with Down syndrome. Then there'll be a new breakdown. Different abilities, kids 8 to 10 years old, because now they realize, oh, we can get them. Let's put them in a bunch so we can look at them together. So yeah, you live in a good place for finding things.
Oh, good. I'm so glad. She's always seeking the stage. And I went with the kids, all my kids, to an overnight educational camp with all their peers. And she was the only one with Down syndrome in the entire school. And they had an opportunity to do the talent show. And she immediately was like, I want to do it. I'm like, what do you want to do? She's like, I want to sing and dance. And I was like, okay. So they let her sing and dance to Girl on Fire. And it was amazing. She lit the whole place up. The people all just jumped on their feet and a standing ovation it was crazy.
She's got the tail on the chromosome. She's got the acting tail right there.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. So much for this opportunity. Really appreciate it.
There's another question in the chat. It's, do they work with focus and attention? My 5-year-old has no behaviors, is very social, but gets distracted and is redirecting to attention to task.
Oh my goodness, this is a child that would enjoy acting classes. Because, and Sandra can even speak to that, I would think, with Larry's experience probably in class. You learn that from your teacher who's directing you, and you're rewarded appropriately, by praise. What are your thoughts, Sandra?
I think going to acting classes, at first I know Gail mentioned acting classes to me when I first started working at DSALA, and I was like, how crazy is that I would put my son in an acting class. He needs this therapy, this other therapy, some of those things. But eventually we ended up at the acting class, and I feel like my son became more sure of himself, I guess, and getting on stage, because that's the thing. When you are in an acting class, you have the opportunity to get on stage all the time, so they get used to that and the attention, and they praise good behavior and things like that. So kids like the attention, so they learn, like, with good behavior, I get more attention, And so my son he was born with Down syndrome, of course, but he was also diagnosed with autism. So we had a hard time with him, especially younger. But at some point, things, I think, clicked, and he does really well with a lot of stuff in acting. He actually he's had some free stuff that he's done, like he was in a video, music video with a young woman on YouTube. She's a YouTube personality, I guess. And they did a video, and he's really good with dancing. Maybe his speech is more impacted, but dancing is really great. So, but I feel like not only that, but they get to know other kids in the group. And when we go to classes, and families go to have pizza afterwards, so they have an automatic circle of friends, and they feel supported, so whenever they do whatever it is, acting, they have their turns to show off their skills, and they already know their friends who does well with them, and they just can come up with things on the spot, which is, so. And I'm very grateful. Mary Rings, as I mentioned, she's such a sweet lady that she really helps our kids thrive, so, and she makes kids speak, and you're on stage, you have to speak, loudly, so people in the back can hear you, and
You get them to do Shakespeare.
Yeah,
Crazy.
Right. Yeah, it's a lot of stuff
Shakespeare.
that I was like, there's no way this is going to happen for my son. And he's actually doing it. And even if he doesn't get any paid jobs out of this, I'm very grateful for the opportunities. He loves being on stage, and when he's home, like Gail mentions, sometimes he loves Star Wars, and he has all his costumes, and he's like, Mom, I'm going to show you this new thing. And so say, what is that? Action. So action. And then he starts acting like he's hiding, whatever. And then when I get tired of watching, it's like, cut. So anyway, but it's kind of fun. It's fun, it is fun. And he feels very, he tells people he used to bring his camera to class and set it up to just record some of the other kids. And he used to tell people, I'm an actor, I'm a director, I'm the cameraman, so it's like, oh my gosh, he's so talented, but, it's great to give all the kids those opportunities, so that if that's something they love, just have them experience that,
I think acting is an important step in becoming a whole person for our kids.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you don't have to be looking at it as a way to get, you don't put a little kid in baseball to be the star player on the Dodgers. You put him in there to learn other skills. And I don't think we have to want our kids to be, the next series regular on some show. We just want them to learn and grow and be healthy. And I think acting is one of the best places for our guys because I think it helps them in every aspect of their lives.
I have
Yeah.
a question.
Mhm.
I'm sorry, I have a question. So we are in Oregon,
Mhm.
and I know that's not your area of expertise, but just wondering if you have any advice for folks in Oregon or in Portland.
I don't know anyone there specifically, but again, do your research, go online and see what's available. Always see if there's a class for maybe students, like at the local community college. There might be something for teens and students there, or your Parks and Rec in acting. Blair started out in acting classes with typical children. He just was a younger group. That's how he got his start before Mary came along. Look at some of the things online that you can take. We talked about Mary Rings is online. There's some other programs online. Rob Snow, who does Improveneers, is online. I think he's in the Midwest. Because I know the timing when he does a morning class, everybody on the West Coast has to get up really early for him. But Improveneers with Rob Snow is a really good one. So what we need to do is collectively make a list of all the classes out there. People can find them. But again, in Oregon, just try to get into a group where you can network. See if there's an agent for youth. Always look for a youth agent first, rather than an agency that reps adults. You're just going to get more hand-holding in a youth agency.
Mhm.
Then
I have a question.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I keep getting knocked out and I came back in and it was silent and then I hear you're talking.
No, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Are you from Oregon? Is it Xenia? No. Oh, I think we lost her again. But I wonder if that question is related to the question in the chat. Any prospects for teens in Oregon? Is that the same person?
No, that was.
I just got knocked out. I'm back in. I don't know why I keep getting knocked out. Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Okay, so this is Dana. I'm Breezy's mom. And well, she was taking acting classes and absolutely loved it in 2018 and 19, or 19 and 20, and then the pandemic came. And so she was learning monologues and just getting in front of everyone. She did an acting, did some sign language at the mall with the acting class with words in motion, and absolutely loved it. And then the pandemic came and the classes were just being done online. And so that was kind of hard because she's in college too. So she's getting back into the acting class now. Hopefully this summer it's supposed to start back. But she does need a good headshot. And where do you think we need to start, like right now with? Are you there?
Yeah, I'm just trying to, or you need to start right now. You mean to get,
like with the headshot?
Yes,
I think I got knocked out again.
you definitely need to get a good headshot. Put together her little resume. Because you're in Atlanta, get the stuff over to me, and I'll review it and see what we can do with you. We can do for you.
Okay, we'll definitely get that done.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for doing this. We've enjoyed this, haven't we, Breezy?
Glad to have you. And the Oregon question, I was just going to say, just find that place where you can start networking, if it's through a class, if it's through whatever, so you can start getting ready to be trained and to be a part of it. Look again if there's youth background casting in your community, because a background casting office could give you an opportunity to be on a film set, because people shoot in Oregon. We actually Stumptown up there.
We actually, my son, he's actually 17 and he doesn't have Down syndrome. He has some cognitive delays.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually emailed you some photos. He's actually wanting to do more modeling than acting. and we had a photographer who's kind of, I guess she's actually volunteered her time to do his headshots and his modeling card.
Mhm.
So we're going to be doing a photo shoot in a couple of weeks here in like downtown Portland with her. So we're hoping that, along with some casting calls, will help him get him started.
Yeah. Now you don't have the advantage of a disability look.
Right.
Like I can usually get someone their first job. We often we want everybody to be fully included and submitted for everything.
Right.
But once you're there, you're up against everybody. So like if they want a 17-year-old multi-ethnic person, male for something, every 17-year-old multi-ethnic person is going to go on that audition. So
Right.
that'll be tough because he won't have the credits that a lot of these other boys may have. So you'll probably end up at the bottom of the list of 400, 500 people.
Okay.
So it's tough to break in with that. We really take advantage of the look of Down syndrome. This will tell your people that there is a difference here. This will show diversity. This wheelchair, it will show diversity. So you're working with hidden diversity other than ethnicity. So it throws you into a much bigger pond, and it's harder to find an agent, and it's harder to get to take. You can't take advantage of, can't play the disability card, which is what we do. We do well. So it's a little tougher for you. What he really has to do is just do his best. I mean, the pictures were lovely, you know, and I can see that someone would definitely use him, but it's not what I sell. You know, I have a lot of trouble sometimes with my kids on the spectrum. I can get them work in TV shows, but it's hard to get them work on a commercial because they don't have a look to them. Clients who are deaf, we have them all over TV and film, but it's hard to get them a commercial unless it's written for a deaf character and they're going to show ASL in the commercial. So a little tougher for you to do that, but you can do it.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.